Hello, and welcome to the Edmonds College Engineering 111 Introduction to Engineering 1 Modeling and Analysis Engine Project. Over the course of this multi-part series, we will disassemble and reassemble a four-stroke engine to learn the fundamentals of combustion and build a basic understanding of real-world mechanics. Let's start by looking at the tools you will use over the course of this series. This is the basic toolkit we at Edmonds use for this project. Items of note include a 13/32 socket, a 5/16 socket, a half-inch socket, a half-inch wrench, a socket wrench adapter, an extension bar, the socket wrench itself, and a pair of needle-nose pliers. Additional items include a torque wrench, feeler gauges, a flat-headed razor, the instructions from your instructor, and the engine's owner's manual. Now let's take a closer look at the socket wrench. Our socket wrenches have a 3/8 inch drive which can be adapted down to a 1/4 inch drive. As a rule, socket wrenches can only be turned one way at a time. On the back of the wrench, you will find a knob with an L and an R embossed on it. Turn the knob to change the direction of rotation for the wrench. As is the standard righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. At Edmonds College, we use Briggs & Stratton XR Professional 127cc 3.5 gross horsepower engines. These are equivalent to our older 550 series engines also by Briggs & Stratton. Before taking your engine outside to start it, please ensure that the engine is completely secured to the baseboard by tightening the 4 half-inch bolts at the bottom. You can do this by flipping the engine on its side and tightening the bolts using the half-inch wrench and a half-inch socket wrench. You are now ready to take your engine outside. Prepare the starting area by laying down an absorbent cloth to catch any oil or fuel leaks. If your engine does leak, please inform your instructor immediately. Check to see if the engine is off. Flip the small red switch on the front of the control panel into the lower circle position. The circle on this switch indicates an open circuit, while the line indicates a closed circuit. Insert the small glass funnel into the fuel tube and pour small amounts of fuel into the funnel at a time. Allow the fuel to propagate down before continuing. At this time, students should note the position of the levers on the control panel. The bottom black lever controls fuel intake for the engine. Flip this lever to the right to open the valve and allow fuel to propagate into the carburetor. The gray lever above the fuel intake is the clutch. This lever controls airflow into the engine and should be disengaged while fueling. To disengage the clutch, move the gray lever to the far right. The top lever is the throttle. This lever is roughly equivalent to the gas pedal on a car and controls the air-fuel mixture ratio. Notice the picture of a bunny and a tortoise on the sticker below the lever. Moving the lever towards the bunny makes the engine go faster, while moving the lever towards the tortoise makes the engine go slower. When starting your engine, ask for the most efficient air-fuel mixture by setting the throttle all the way to the left where the bunny is. Continue pouring small amounts of fuel into the funnel until the liquid line stagnates. Pour the remaining fuel back into the fuel container and remove the funnel from the fuel hose. Make sure to empty the stem of the funnel completely before removing the funnel to prevent spillage. When adding oil to any engine, the first step is to check the current oil level in the machine. Remove the yellow dipstick and observe the oil line. This is a brand new engine and has never had any oil in it, thus the dipstick is clean. Replace the dipstick with a funnel and gradually pour oil into the engine. Here I push the bottom of the funnel up to ensure that all of the oil made it into the engine. Pause often and check the active oil level in the engine. Remove the funnel and screw the dipstick in completely and immediately unscrew it again. Observe the oil level on the dipstick. For our purposes, any oil presenting on the crosshatched pattern of the dipstick is good enough. If the oil level is sufficient, screw the dipstick back into the housing and inform your instructor that you are ready to start your engine.
Usually you'll have a group member standing on the other side. Oh yeah. But essentially you pull it 3 times.
Let's look at that in closer detail. Off camera, I ensured that my levers were all set correctly and flipped the red switch into the closed circuit position, turning the engine on. Next, I primed the engine 3 times by pulling the starter clutch. Finally, I engaged the clutch by flipping the clutch control to the left and pulled the starter clutch one last time to start the engine. If your engine starts, turn the engine off immediately by flipping the red switch. If your engine doesn't start, you may repeat the startup process a couple of times before informing your instructor of a potential issue. To drain the fuel from the engine, place a tub below the carburetor and remove the side bolt from the carburetor bell using a 13/32 socket wrench. Allow the fuel to drain completely, then wipe the area with an absorbent cloth. Replace the 13/32 bolt and tighten firmly with the socket wrench. To drain the oil, prepare another tub and remove the dipstick from the side of the housing. Gently lift the engine up and tip the housing such that the oil drains into the tub without spilling. Take care not to touch the muffler at this time. It will still be quite hot after starting the engine. Due to the nature of oil to coat everything, you are not expected to drain all of it from the engine. Instead, wait until only a bit is coming out of the engine before setting the engine down and replacing the dipstick. Set the oil and fuel tubs aside and inform your instructor that you are ready to head inside to begin disassembly.